There has been a lot of changes to various different spells that is currently on the test realm. This happened yesterday, and I wanted to go through it, basically make a part 2 to the first video where I talked about the shadow spells that got nerfed, because now they've moved beyond shadow spells. They've moved to every, well, almost every rank 7 spell, as well as every rank 4 shadow spell. So a lot of nerfs in here, but there's also some buffs going on. So I will be going over some of those. I'm probably not going to hit every spell that got changed in some way, but I'm going to try to go over most of them. So I'm back in the Arcanum again, and last time I mentioned that we had the door here. That's like a little teaser at the, next world, and also the music door. But there's also another part to the music door, and there's a Easter egg with the sound effects with this door. Actually, if you go up to it and you turn your sound effects all the way up, I'm just going to max it so you can hear it. There's sound coming from this door. So listen to this. That one sounded like a heartbeat. Now it's like deeper. It's like very slow. So yeah, I don't know how many of these there are, how long it goes for, but that is on test room right now. Is there gonna be another one? Okay. I thought I was about to play some music. Wow, they're actually like rocking out in there. So yeah, I'm not gonna listen to that anymore, but if you want to, you can go stand by that door, listen to what they have going on there, because yeah, that's gonna be the music room, and there's actually a Easter egg with the sound effects, so you can listen to that. That's only on test room right now, but I'm guessing when it comes to live, I hope that's still there, because that's a cool little Easter egg to kind of just listen in, like, hear what's going on behind the door. So let's move on to the actual spell changes. I'm on my storm, so let's just start with the storm spells that changed, because they actually changed a lot of the storm spells. I mean, I was surprised at how many changes they actually made, because they went in with these. So let's go over to, I think Leviathan did change a little bit. So Leviathan, pretty sure was over 1,000. I don't know the exact number, but Leviathan is nerfed. And Stormlord's the same, but they did change a lot of the other rank 7 spells. But yeah, Stormlord, no changes there. And yeah, King Art is, a lot more damage than Leviathan now. It seems like KI really values this remove 1 blade to make it so that this utility makes it way less damage than a spell that's the same pips but doesn't have that utility. And I guess a blade like this blade removal, makes it so that this spell is 200 or 150 or something less damage, which is kind of a lot. Like 150, I would rather take damage over this blade removal. Like, I don't really need that for Leviathan, but I guess this utility is worth 150 damage, so that's kind of the trade-off. But yeah, here's where the nerfs start getting to be a lot. Sirens was absolutely destroyed. It's down to 730, so a little bit better than Stormlord for 2 more pips, and it removes 1 blade from all enemies. Like I said, this blade removal is seen as being like very impactful, and they reduce damage because of this. So no longer gives a smoke screen, no longer removes 2 blades. It's been nerfed pretty heavily. So I don't think I'll be using Sirens anytime soon. But yeah, Sirens nerfed. Storm Owl actually was nerfed as well. It's down to 1350 to 1450, so they nerfed that. All of the rank 4 spells, shadow spells, got nerfed. Iron Sultan is down to 948. It didn't make sense with Iron Sultan being at 1100 because it was the same as Rusalka. So I had a feeling these ones were going to get changed. It's down like, what, 200 or so? I think a little less than 200. Bugs is back. I actually suggested Bugs be put at 920, and they upped it even more than that. They put it at 940. So Bugs is even better than I thought it would be, because I kind of wanted to find that like middle ground. And yeah, 940 is pretty good. No blade removal, but like I said in my other video, it's not necessary. You don't need that, at least for PvE. I'm not complaining about this one. I think Bugs is fine at about 1,000 damage to all enemies. So I'm okay with this. Rusalka, they upped it back to almost normal levels and still the same, blade or -30 on you. I think that's fine. It just didn't make sense for Rosoko to be nerfed that much because it was the same as Iron Sultan. So I'm glad they kind of reevaluated this nerf and put it back to 1350. So I think that's fine as well. But yeah, Sirens took a big hit. All the rank 4, you know, if you're going to split these spells, it's going to do like no damage now. But that's a trade-off. I mean, yeah, rank 10, at least this rank 10 spell. I don't think they nerfed all the rank 10s. But just Storm out. Like, Storm just got a lot of nerfs going on here. Like, honestly, some schools got buffs. Storm nerfed. So that is Storm. I wanted to look at the other rank 7 spells from other schools and go over those. Let's start with Myth, because honestly, Myth got hit hard with the recent nerfs, and they they now made Myth better than Myth is currently on Live Realm. So they took a lot away from Myth, but now they gave even more back. So Myth has a rank 7 AOE now. That's Orthrus. And instead of hitting 2 times on a single target, it now hits 700. Guaranteed, no range, just 700 to all enemies for 7 pips. That's crazy. Like, that's really good. So Myth has a very viable AOE for 7 pips. This does more damage than Stormlord, because Stormlord is 7 pips, does 690. This one does 700. Obviously no stun, so the stun, you know, brings down Stormlord's damage compared to Myth. But yeah, it's just interesting where Myth is at now with that 7 pip AoE for 700. So that makes Myth very viable to hit all with this spell. So that's a good one. We also have Scarecrow has been buffed to 590. We always have been asking, well, at least Death Wizards, and I mean, I have a Death Wizard and I got into Azteca, so Death Wizards have always been asking KI to buff Scarecrow. It was at 400 for way too long. They finally buffed it. It's at 590, so Scarecrow's a little bit better. I mean, I'm not saying Scarecrow's great, but a little bit better. You know, 590 is still pretty good. So Scarecrow is buffed. That was much needed. We also had Ice. Frost Giant was actually nerfed by 15. I don't know why. Frost Giant already didn't do that much damage, and now it's doing even less. It's at 460. Still stuns all enemies, but yeah, honestly, rip Ice, because Ice isn't getting anything. Ice is getting nerfed heavily too. Seems like Storm and Ice are getting nerfed the most. Well, okay, and Balance, but Balance actually has some redeeming spells going on. So let's just look at Balance. Power Nova did not get changed. It's the same. It's 470. So, and the negative 25 to all enemies. So Power Nova, people have been asking for that to get buffed, and I think it might, since it is pretty weak. They buffed Gaze up a little bit, so Gaze of Fate isn't as bad, and Nested Fury got buffed. So Balance isn't complaining because their hit all shadow spell was buffed. So Balance is fine. You know, Balance is going to survive this. Like, that's not too bad. But obviously Stormlord was not changed. Force Lord is now a 7 pip spell. I can actually go over to my life and show you guys this because I'm on test realm. Let me show you guys this. I couldn't believe it. All right, so I'm on my life, and let's look at Forest Lord. They reduced it by 1 pip, and not only that, they reduced it by a pip and buffed the damage. That's crazy. I never thought they would do this, but every school needs a 7 pip AoE, and for Myth, they didn't have one. For Life, they didn't have one, so they had to create them. And they gave Myth the Orthrus hit all, and now for Life, we get a 7 pip Force Lord. 620 to 680. That's great. So Life is good with this one, and all the other schools have, you know, their normal hit all spells. I haven't even gotten to the best one. Like, we haven't even gotten to the best one. But yeah, Fire Dragon is the other one, and Fire Dragon's been buffed. So I'm gonna go in my fire after I look at this though. Rebirth was nerfed by 1 whole pip, and they didn't change the heal. So it's still 650, 400 absorb to all. What was always weird about Rebirth to me is you actually never needed to put Rebirth in your main, because enchanting it with Radical doesn't matter. If you wanted Rebirth, all you would do is go and buy the TCs, because the TCs are basically already Radical Rebirth for 800. And it was 450, so the TCs were always just better than the normal. I never put it in my main because you might as well just use a TC. But now it's, you know, it's worse. So I don't know. This is interesting. It's still 800 on this one, 450 for 8 pips, which I think the main spell should be this. I think the main spell should be 800 and 450 absorbed all. They really should do that. Like, KI, if you're listening, if you watch my videos, like, make this rebirth right here equal to this for 8 pips. If you're going to do it at 8 pips, like, it makes sense. 8 pips, 800, 450 shield. Absorb. I think that's how they should do it. But yeah, that did get changed, so I want to make you guys aware of that. If rebirth stays how it is, then I'm just going to use Pigsy. Pigsy's way better than rebirth. Why would I ever use that? Pigsy is 550 for 4 pips. You know, people aren't going to use rebirth at this point. Pigsy's just way better. So, yeah, I want to show you guys that quick. Let me go on my fire and show you guys some of the things that changed over here. Fire Dragon was buffed, and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that they buffed Fire Dragon because I thought it was already pretty good. Like, Fire Dragon was already fine. But Fire Dragon now does 600 damage for the first hit. And, you know, Stormlord does 690 as its only hit. So Fire is outputting almost as much damage as other schools on this 7 pip AOE in the first hit, and they still have the 375 overtime. So they upped that first hit by a lot. They also upped the overtime by 24. So the overtime is now up to 375. So they actually buffed Raging Bull as well. Raging Bull is now 705 to 825, so pretty big range, but they added the -40 instead of -30. So they're upping that debuff that Raging Bull gets. So it's basically a full-on smoke screen at this point that you put up. So that's great. Like, this spell is good. Raging Bull is good. Fire Dragon is great. I do agree that Ifrit is overpowered, but it's mostly only in PvP because, yeah, PvE, I mean, yes, this is a good, like, solo spell to use. Maybe it's a good spell to use on a boss, but, yeah, it's definitely broken in PvP. So I don't know what they're going to change Ifrit to, but it's currently not changed on Test Realm. So there's that. Scorching was nerfed, just like all the other rank 4 shadow spells. And this is where Fire from Above is at. So actually, I think this got buffed from what it originally was nerfed to. So yeah, Fire is looking good. They even gave Fire the fuel back on Fire from Above. So Fire is looking good after this update. Where it currently sits, I think Fire's looking the best. Like, Fire is looking to be the best hitting school. Also, this is what the new robes look like in the game. I think they look good. Like, this is the no gear robes. I was like looking at it on my Fire and I was impressed. Okay, going back on my Storm, but currently where we sit with these buffs and these nerfs, they actually did a lot more buffs than I thought they were going to. Like, with the heavy nerfs that they did in that first round of just cutting out a lot of the shadow spells, I was surprised to see that they buffed a lot of other things. So currently where we sit on these buffs and nerfs, I think Myth got it the best with their new AOE, and they actually buffed Earthquake as well. So just a lot of Myth spells just got buffed, and Myth is looking pretty good. Even with Mystic getting nerfed, I feel like this Orthrus spell AOE makes up for it, so that's fine. But yeah, Myth's looking pretty good, and Fire's looking pretty good. So those are like the top 2. Honestly, Balance is looking good too, because Nested Fury buffed does a lot, especially if you hit Storm. Honestly, Ice got nerfed a lot. Like, Ice didn't get any love in this update, so Storm and Ice got nerfed a bunch. I still feel like Death is kind of in the middle. Like, Death definitely got nerfed, but then they buffed Scarecrow, so I don't think that offsets what they did to Lulu, though. But yeah, Death is kind of in the middle, and, you know, Life got buffed, but not as much as other schools, so Life is, like, in the middle as well. But yeah, so that's kind of where we stand on all these updates, and it's just crazy. Like, I didn't expect this to come out of, you know, these updates. Like, I expected nerfs, but I didn't expect this many buffs. So I think I can really start to see the actual balancing happening of the game, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do in the future. Like, this, there's still more to go. They're going to nerf Ifrit for sure. They might nerf, I don't know if they're going to nerf more Storm spells, but yeah, Storm's already been getting nerfed into the ground. I'm not going to be using Sirens anymore. Bugs is going to be viable, like, still. I'll be using that, and Stormlord is still good, but yeah. Rip Sirens, like, I'm not going to be using Sirens. So that is going to do it for this video. I went over so many of the spells that changed, and I'm sorry if I missed any. I probably did, but there's just a lot that happened with this recent update with nerfs and buffs and all this stuff. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of give you guys a video going over the major things that happened and show that to you and kind of let you decide for yourself, you know, how good certain things are. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like if you made it all the way through to the end of this video. Turn on notifications so you know when I post more test room videos in the future. But other than that, hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you all next time.